Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. How we feeling if the Vikings finish this season 5-0?
Second down. Can J.J. McCarthy do what Mac Jones did? Not Mac Jones, sorry. Drake May. I don't know why I said Mac Jones. Can he do what Drake May did? We'll see.
Used to be on the Patriots.
We've reached the point in J.J. McCarthy's development where we are overly critical of him grittying into the end zone. That's a good thing.
It was a horrible gritty.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Hello and welcome into the Vikings Squad Show on a Wednesday, streaming on Locked On Vikings, audio on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, where Luke Braun is also producing 30-minute daily gold covering this team on Locked On Vikings. It's our Care 11 show. We're joined by Reggie Wilson. You met him. You met Ron Johnson. Julia Daniels out today, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. We do this squad show after the games, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Vikings talk for the next 45 minutes or so with Ron and Reggie. We're getting into a possible 5-0 finish for the Vikings and what that would mean for them heading into the offseason, how the complexion would change. Big injury news to Jonathan Grenard. He's out for the rest of the year. How do we evaluate the edge position this season? Giants matchup looming. Any Jackson Dart envy for Vikings fans? Plus Bo Nix envy? Can the Vikings be the Broncos next year and possibly be a 1 seed? We, of course, have bold predictions for the Vikings-Giants game. But Mr. Ron Johnson, we brought this up yesterday on your show, the Ron Johnson Show, and I thought maybe we could get back into it.
Okay.
A 5-0 finish for the Vikings. We decided that a 5-0 finish, that gets J.J. McCarthy's record to 7-4 for the year, with obviously wins against Detroit twice. If he finishes 5-0, he will have beaten Detroit twice, will have beaten Green Bay, will have beaten Chicago, Dallas on the road. The resume starts looking pretty good. So how does that change the way you would feel going into the offseason compared to the way you felt a few weeks ago?
Well, I mean, he's beating the Lions and the Packers in that scenario, right? So to sweep the Lions for the season, to beat the Packers, beat the Bears that we brought up before early in the season, to finish out and beating a weak NFC East in the Commanders, Dallas, and the Giants, you got to feel kind of good. And this is why I say this. In order to beat the Lions, and I got some Lions run game stuff on second down versus the Giants as well. Oh my goodness, do they get after you? Like the way those linemen get to the second level and reach the linebackers, they reach the linebackers on 2 plays faster than the running back got the ball. I don't understand how you even do that. 2, I don't understand half the thing the Giants front 4 do. So that's the other thing that's weird on second down. It's like if you watch, like I got an Abdul Carter play I have to send you, Reggie and Sam. Like he spins before he gets to the lineman. Like it's almost like watching your kid say, "Hey dad, I want to show you something I just came up with in my room." And he runs forward and then he just spins. The guard is sitting there like, "Oh wait, did he spin before he got to me? Okay, you idiot." And then he catches him and just lifts, like him in the center lift him literally off of his feet. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And that's what the Giants are, right? So if you think they can if they beat the Giants, what they should, if they beat the Packers and the Lions, which I mean, that's going to be tough without Grenard, but now, maybe Dallas Turner goes ridiculous and gets 4 sacks down the stretch. I think you got to kind of say he is QB1, but you don't want to go into this as Max Brosmer as the backup. I think that's the key to this is you want to bring in a backup that's going to push him. Somebody that knows, look, I'm not the starter like a Mariota or whatever, but somebody that can come in and still win games if something goes wrong, if J.J. McCarthy takes a hit, if he dives forward, if he doesn't go out of bounds when he should. You do got to have a consummate backup that can kind of say, I can come in and win games.
Yeah, and some mentorship, right? I mean, last year
Correct.
McCarthy's hurt, so he's not getting that one-on-one time with Sam Darnold in the QB room the way he otherwise might have. And then, of course, this year he's probably not getting mentored much by Max Brose. Maybe a little bit, from Carson Wentz. I guess we can give Wentz a nod there. But Reggie, a 5-0 finish, does that suddenly take JJ McCarthy to like possibly getting replaced a few weeks ago to we don't even need a competition. He's our guy.
No, I still think you get some competition in there. As Ron said, I don't know that you bring Carson Wentz back, but I think you get somebody, Gardner Minshew, or somebody in that vein. I think all the fans have been clamoring for Mac Jones. He could work too, I guess. But I think you get somebody to come in there, push him, compete, allow him to see things that because every time JJ McCarthy missed time, he would always come back and talk about how much he was able to see things on the sideline or see things, that little subtleties that the quarterback who played in his place, whether it was Wentz or Brosmer, did that just kind of helped them on the field. And so I think if you have someone who's able to see it, I don't know, bring Nick Mullins back. That could be a thing. No, but I think somebody that can help in his development. But also too, I think you feel good though if they finish the season 5-0 down the stretch. You feel good. You went from all these memes of JJ McCarthy and the 9 and all that stuff to feeling okay, yeah, we're going somewhere. We have something. And I think the thing with JJ McCarthy is man, he was a little bit more of a developmental prospect than people might have realized. And so it just took time. I think the biggest thing that I think about the situation is, you come down the line from really since Teddy, and you go Bradford and Keenum and Cousins and Darnold, and you're okay, all these fans were okay, we need to get a quarterback in here that we can develop and build behind. And then they get one, and all the fans are oh, this guy sucks. And it's okay, well, you kind of have to have some patience. This guy just needs to develop. And one thing that I thought was interesting, JJ McCarthy was saying, to see the ball coming out of my hands in rhythm the way that it did was great. And he was just talking about post-game Dallas, how he is still really kind of learning how to throw it in the way that he should at the NFL level. And that was pretty telling to me, especially from a guy coached by Jim Harbaugh in college, who is thought to not necessarily be a QB whisperer, but he knows how to get the quarterback to play well. And you think about that, and maybe that's a bigger discussion for another time, especially with Ron, as far as how well prepared are these college teams getting these quarterbacks? Because JJ McCarthy still had a bit to go, and in the offseason, he's probably going to have to overhaul some of his mechanics and footwork and all that stuff and come back even more improved. I know we saw Collinsworth compare him to Josh Allen in his rookie year, which was kind of freaky to see. And even Collinsworth was kind of criticizing the footwork and the mechanics and all that stuff from McCarthy, but he was putting the ball where it needed to go. So I think two ways about this 5-0 finish down the stretch, if it can happen. You feel good going into next year about McCarthy and his development, getting a full offseason to really get after it and really get him in a good place. But also you feel a little bit of regret because seeing how JJ McCarthy is able to play in rhythm and on time, and he's not overthinking things, and even though the mechanics are still not great, he's still putting the ball right on the money. The touchdown passes, both to Naylor, going to his left, that was a pretty good pass. And deep ball to Addison. Finally saw a little bit more of what KOC loves to do, which is push the ball down the field. The offense is starting to open up a little bit more like KO really likes. You feel good about that, but then you wonder, like, man, like, if they had have like employed that 4 or 5 weeks ago, like, they could have maybe been in the fold as far as trying to make the playoffs. And that's kind of what's tough about the situation. I think specifically the Ravens and Bears loss, those losses really stick out to me as maybe things could be different down the street.
Yeah, if the ankle doesn't go sideways on him, could he have worked the kinks out earlier in the season where there was still a chance to bounce back, right? And get yourself back into the playoff mix. If he finishes 5-0, yes, you are bringing in, regardless of how they finish, you are bringing in a reliable, serviceable backup that can start games for you. No questions asked. But that's as much for injuries as it is performance. I think if he finishes 5-0, he is taking every first-team rep in the offseason. He is taking every first-team rep in training camp. You have someone waiting in the wings, if he goes down, that you trust that can win games. I don't think it's a competition. I think if he finishes 5-0 and 7-4 on the year, I think he is the guy going into the offseason. I have a new scapegoat. For all that ailed J.J. McCarthy, we're blaming Sharon Moore. It's Sharon Moore's fault. He was in Sharon Moore's room. It's Sharon Moore's fault for not getting his mechanics right. We're just going to blame the guy who's everything's falling apart.
Down, huh?
Easy target. Easy target right now.
Sharon Moore catches strays everywhere, man. Oh man.
But Ron, with that 5-0,
yeah.
Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable saying that JJ McCarthy is your starter? He is your number one going into the offseason.
Yeah, I'm very sure that JJ McCarthy is doesn't have any more flaws from Sharon Moore. I'll just say that. I think the Connor Stallions piece of that, right? We're forgetting this, and it's not a joke. So let's be real, right? We're adults. Everybody listening on the podcast, let's be adults about this, right? There was some type of or some level of cheating. Let's just call it what it was, right? Connor Stallions was on like the sideline at Central Michigan. I don't know what other sidelines he was on because some of these games weren't even televised. So just think about the games that of small schools playing big schools that weren't even televised, that he probably got away with it, right? Was it illegal at the time? No, because there was no rules saying that. But then once you're a credential, so like some of the levels in which it happened, that's when they said, okay, this is probably unethical. But there's nothing stopping coaches from going to other games and sitting in the stands and buying a ticket, right? But the filming, the additional stuff, again, fans can film. I can film an entire sideline of another team and send it over to the coach for the Gophers. Hey, here's the sideline, what I saw. Now, what they do with that is up to them. But the fact that Connor Stallions was able to look at, like, for those that have not gone to a college game, it's chaos on the sideline compared to NFL, right? Because the NFL has headsets. Everybody's kind of talking. College is like chaos. There's like 7 different square boards. There's dowels they hang up. There's different coaches wearing different T-shirts. Like the Gophers have like a red, green, blue. So in yellow, I think. Like it's nuts. There's like an orange vest on one of the quarterbacks. And so what you do is, what Connor Stallions was doing was he was like looking at the cards. He's like, look, if I see Anna and Elsa, I see Olaf, I then see Chris Tucker, okay, they're in cover 2 with a spy. If I see, Shrek and Fiona, and then I see like Baby Groot, oh, they're going cover 4 and they're blitzing the edge. So was that a little bit unethical? Yes, but he did it, and that probably helped out his quarterback, right? So understanding where the coverage is, where it's coming from, where the blitz is coming from before it gets there, it kind of helps, right? Now he's having to learn this. So to Reggie's point, and I do want to hit what you said, because I just had this conversation with another NFL coach who played quarterback in the NFL. Let's go back to Northwestern. I don't know if people remember Northwestern pre-Pat Fitzgerald days of the check with me, right? College used to do this whole check with me. Some teams still do it, where everybody looks at the sideline. They check with their coach. The coach gets a call from the booth. The booth tells them what they're in. The coach then gives them a call. They relay that to the quarterback. All the players get it. They line up and play. If the coaches are helping you out right before the ball is snapped because they're doing hand signals, you're not really learning how to read a defense. And that's where, like, Reggie, you're right. Like, I think that's why some of these college quarterbacks aren't prepared for the NFL, is because they're so coddled in college, because college coaches don't care about making their quarterbacks better. They care about winning. They don't care about footwork and this and that. They just care about winning. Whatever it takes to win this year, we're going to do it. I don't care if you take 5 steps to run a 3-step route. I want to win. And I think that's the problem with the way college football is set up. That's why I think everybody's getting mad now at, JMU and some of these other schools getting into the playoff, because they're like, wait, so I don't have to schedule Michigan or Michigan State early. I don't have to schedule Auburn, Alabama. Like, it's all about winning. And the quarterbacks are the front center piece of it. Like Dante Moore, I pray that Dan Lanning has got Dante Moore prepared for the NFL. But the Oregon Ducks offense is really just fast breaks, right? It's, can I be Magic Johnson on a fast break? It's chaos. Nobody's blitzing me because I got 5 receivers out there. That's not the NFL. The NFL, they're like, look, we can cover 5 of your receivers with 5 of our DBs, and we're still going to blitz 6 on you. Can you figure it out? Which is Brian Flores, if you watch. So I say this to say, like, J.J. McCarthy, I think, is okay. But I do say, like, Michigan, and not just Michigan, college football does hold a lot of these guys back. Like back in the day with Peyton Manning, Chris Weinke, and all those guys, Phillip Rivers, they were running pro-style offenses. You don't see that anymore. Now it's like, I got a guy that runs a 4.2 40. I'm just going to do some tricky stuff, and like the quarterback's going to shovel pass it. We don't even see that play, but then we see the yards like, oh, dude, he threw for 3,000 yards. Not realizing like 500 yards of those were behind the line of scrimmage passes. And I think that's where J.J. McCarthy's going to have to learn, whether it's this offseason, whether these last 3 games, how to read a defense. And then again, I hate to use the word, but that's where that pure progression comes in, because again, my breakdown for the 3-minute drill this week is more pure progression stuff and how to read it, right? What side of the field do you go to? Once you pick that side of the field, now you read 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. You just learn whatever the progression is. You got to know it and progress through it and get it to the right read. That's where I think they're hoping J.J. McCarthy can get to.
Yeah. Reg, we're going to start with you after the break. I want to ask if there's any Jackson Dart envy, a rookie who comes into New York and seems like he's ready to roll. Like if they get a team around him, look out. Also, Bo Nix, who it was taken right after J.J. McCarthy. He's engineering possibly the number 1 seed over in Denver. We'll make some comparisons when we come back on the Squad Show. We're presented today by Rocket Money. Ever feel like your money's just disappearing? Where'd it go? Happens fast. Few subscriptions here, impulse buy there, DoorDash here. Suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, stay in control of your finances, because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. With New Year's resolutions coming up, this might be a good thing to adopt. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot you were paying for and helps you clean them up quickly. It builds budgets for you automatically based on your spending habits and helps you track it without overthinking it too much. So having the app saves a lot of time, makes it very convenient, easy, even fun to track your finances. Take control of your finances. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, Squad Show rolls on Locked On Vikings. Reggie Wilson in here, Sports Director, KARE 11. Jackson Dart, the opponent on Sunday. Let's compare the circumstances, Reggie. Jackson Dart, 2-7, compared to McCarthy's 4-4. But he has 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He is better than league average in most categories. He's like 11th in QBR, better than average in like average yards per attempt, QB rating. He's good, and he's got some legs too. He's mobile. Has taken a few hits this year as well, concussions. Any Jackson Dart envy that a second-round pick rolls in, seems like he's got a pretty NFL-ready mentality from the get-go. Would you switch places if you were of like a Vikings fan, you could snap your fingers and take Jackson Dart right now?
No. I think you roll with the guy that you have. And look, respect. So Lane Kiffin, I think a lot of people didn't necessarily know that Jackson Dart was as NFL ready as he was, but Lane Kiffin had him to Ron's point, to the point I was trying to, ask Ron about, compared to JJ McCarthy. Lane Kiffin did ask Dart to do more in college than McCarthy was asked to do. I was talking to my EP last night, Lauren, and she's a Michigan alum, and she was saying that, McCarthy was in these high leverage situations. They ran the ball a lot, and then he would get in these third down high leverage situations, and they would ask him to make a throw, and he would do it. So he was at the top of the league in high leverage situations, but he just wasn't passing the ball as much. They were an air it out offense at Ole Miss, and Dart did everything with his feet and with his arm. Much stronger arm, I think, than a lot of people think. Maybe a stronger arm than McCarthy. But I think he comes to the league and he's been evaluated for concussions, 5 times already in one season, which is just nuts. And McCarthy has been talked to about sliding and making sure he gets down to live to play another down. Dart is just a football player, man. Like, he's going to ram at you head first. And I don't know how long he's going to last playing like that. And so almost for that piece alone, I still go with McCarthy. McCarthy hadn't experienced all these injuries before he got to the NFL, and it's just kind of been a freak thing with the knee, the ankle, then the concussion. You're just like, goodness gracious, this guy. But now that he's been able to stay healthy, like, you see some of what, they saw, McCarthy, as I was saying earlier, he was like, yeah, like, I'm still just kind of learning how to layer throws better. He's like, you guys know I was a fastball guy. Like, he literally said that in the post-game presser on Sunday. I was a fastball guy. And that's just kind of crazy to think about, a guy coming into the NFL and still having to learn how to play the quarterback position. But I think it's kind of indicative of, and I don't mean to go on a tangent here, but I think it's kind of indicative of where the league is. I think quarterback play in general is just down. Like, I watch some of the highlights every week of all the games just to make sure I'm staying on top of what's going on in the league. And we're seeing so many of these, like, 13, 10, 16, 13, 20 to 16 type games. And I saw a stat. There are maybe like 2 or 3 quarterbacks who have a chance to throw for 4,000 yards this year. And that was like 5-6 years ago, like, everybody was throwing for 4,000 yards. Like, you have a top 10 of all the guys throwing for 4,000 yards. And I think what's interesting about it is the 3 guys who are most closely able to get to 4,000 this year: Stafford, Prescott, Goff. Those are guys who've been in the league 10 plus years. And you're like, okay. But some of the young guys, they're at 3, barely. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is only at like 2,600 yards, which is just kind of crazy to me. But I feel like just quarterback play in general is down. And I think, last point, it's been interesting hearing Chris Carter, and I love Chris Carter. He's been very gracious to me in our conversations. It's so weird seeing him kind of dunk on McCarthy. He said, the Vikings and the fan base have lowered their expectations for McCarthy, where, like, him throwing for 150 yards is good enough. And he kept using the word stuck, like, we're stuck with him. He called him a kid. He plays like a kid, acts like a kid, and we're stuck with him. And it was interesting just hearing that. But seeing McCarthy throw for 250 yards in the last game, like, there is reason for optimism. You are seeing things that show you that he's starting to ascend. He's starting to figure things out, and he has the right coaching that you believe that he's going to turn the corner. And so I'm interested to see how he grows. And I think that his ceiling right now, because Dart just can't seem to stop being a battering ram, his ceiling seems to be a little bit higher than Jackson Dart because of injury, because of coaching staff. You don't even know who his coach is going to be moving forward. The weapons around him, there's a lot of uncertainty there, that there's a little bit more of a stable culture around McCarthy than Dart.
Yeah, Ron, I absolutely want your Jackson Dart thoughts. But I know you're close with Chris Carter, and I'm curious if you've got anything to jump off of there with Carter saying what Reggie said, saying that they're stuck with McCarthy, that he acts like a kid, that the expectations have been lowered. Any reaction to what Chris has said?
No, I mean, Chris is emotional, man. Like we had Jake Reed on, we've had Chris Carter on. Like, these guys get emotional in those moments. Robert Smith, remember we had Robert Smith on, and he talked about it too. Like, it is frustrating when it's your team, and it's frustrating when you really, really like Justin Jefferson. And I think that's where Chris Carter's coming from this as a Justin Jefferson, like, apologist, right? He's talked up JJ from the start. So in his mind, he's seeing the best receiver in the NFL being wasted by a rookie quarterback that can't figure out simple reads. And I think Kevin O'Connell finally figured that out as well, though. Like, he changed it up so that the 1, 2, 3 read is a lot easier and cleaner. Whereas he doesn't have to go like, who was it? Dan Orlovsky. I forgot which quarterback he talked about, but he talked about how quick he could go from the left hash to the right sideline, right? Because you don't want to go field to field. You can't go sideline to sideline. That's dumb. But left hash to right sideline, meaning left hash, I got a seam, right hash, I got a bender or a dig, and then right field sideline, I have my outlet, whether it's an out route, a flat route, or a bubble, right? And he talked about, I forgot which quarterback, but he talked about how quick he was able to get from 1, 2 to 3. JJ McCarthy doesn't have that. And part of it is the footwork, right? That's part of that, being able to boom, 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 is the footwork stuff. That's the stuff he couldn't work on as a rookie. And then as a second-year rookie, still a rookie, he's a redshirt freshman, he wasn't able to like do that in training camp because they had to get right back into the offense. They couldn't build up what they were trying to get out of him. But here's where I go with this. Am I nervous, or sorry, am I envious of Jackson Dart? A little bit, right? He's fun. He's out there having a blast. I think he's dating with a Dancing with the Stars girl, or Alex Earl or something like that. I think is who it is. She went from
On the
Barrios.
rebound?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think she went from.
Broke up.
Yeah, she broke up with Barrios or whatever. And I think she went with Jackson Dart. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I kind of saw in the medias. But here's I'll go with a stat. You know me, Sam. I'm always going to jump to a stat. On third down, I don't know if you guys have looked at this, and I hope you haven't. If you have, put some sunglasses on and grab a drink. On third down, JJ McCarthy's not the worst, but where do you think he falls as far as completion percentage on third down? And this is every single person that's ever thrown a ball on third down this year.
And this is Dart or JJ?
JJ McCarthy.
Completion
percentage on third down.
30th?
I'm going to guess it's like 20%.
So it's 42.6%. So not as bad as we thought. But the only quarterback lower than him is Mitchell Trubisky.
Wait,
All
what?
time.
Yeah. Mitchell Trubisky's at 40. Sejur's at 46. Jake Browning's at 46. Tyrod Taylor's at 47. Matthew Stafford's at 48. So again, Stafford's at 48, right? Not too much further than JJ. It's sexier when Matthew does it, right? Matthew also doesn't get into third downs a lot because we know that the McVay tree is similar to the Bengals with Joe Burrow. They're attacking on first and second down more so than not. Kirk Cousins is at 51. You jump all the way up, Marcus Mariota's at 52. And then when you get to the greats, you got the Brock Purdy's, you got the Josh Allens. They're up in the 60s and 70s. Phillip Rivers is at 66, by the way. Tyler Shutt is at 66. Joe Burrow's at 65. So I say that to say, like, he's way, way, way down on the list, right? But it's with limited games, and he's not too far from Matthew Stafford. Jackson Dart, here's the biggest difference in Jackson Dart on third down and JJ McCarthy. Jackson Dart's team has the 8th most runs on third down. Like, they're not afraid to run the ball down your throat on third down because they're like, look, and I don't know if they still would do it. I gotta look at like post Scatabo. But with Scatabo, they were willing to run the ball on third down because they felt like he can get them 4 to 5 yards. And I don't think Minnesota has that same affinity for their running backs. Like, I don't think Kevin O'Connell sees 3rd and 4 and he's like, oh, let me run counter or let me run 46 power. Like, he's not doing that. The Giants did that, which helps out because now when you bring in all these receivers and you still run the ball and they're rushing 3 because it's the pass rush D-line, your offensive line can mow them down and let your running back go get 4 to 5 yards. So a little bit of jealous, but it's more so of the play calling. And Reggie's right. Minnesota has more weapons around J.J. McCarthy. So hopefully next year we should see it. Again, and this is where we're at now. We just got to pack it up and prepare for next season, right? I'm already seeing March and, OTAs and all that stuff and draft. And I'm already thinking about training camp and, who's going to be here for training camp? Who's not going to be here? Is Jalen Naylor going to start to ask for more money? Like that's where we've headed now.
After the break, we'll talk about another young QB, another one that's oft compared to J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. Can the Vikings next year do what the Broncos are doing this year? Coming up next on the Squad Show. Brought to you today by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and it changes everything. It changes the complexion of the game. It changes the live odds, most importantly, on FanDuel. So when you are watching the game, you can react in real time and jump into the moment with FanDuel's live betting. Maybe when the game was like 23-17, Vikings and Cowboys slipping away, it felt like you could have taken the Vikings at plus money on the live money line. I'm just going to guess it was around plus 300. Probably could have bet 10, gotten 30 for that if you had made that wager in the right moment. It's all about timing when you're doing the live wagering. That is live player props, live spreads, live over-unders, all available in the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Next touchdown scorer, very interesting as well. You can find some big prices there, plus 800, plus 1,000, all of that. So get locked in. FanDuel live betting, FanDuel Sportsbook app. Get in the middle of the action. FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, we talked Dart. Now, Dart is playing very, nicely at quarterback for a bad team. Then you've got Bo Nix, the 6th quarterback in last year's draft class. Felt like he was the cast-off, the last one available. Sean Payton took him because he felt forced to. Well, here the Broncos are. They could be the number 1 seed in the AFC. They could have a bye week. They could be bringing people into play at altitude with a chance to go to the Super Bowl with Bo Nix, who is playing, I would say, an average year of football. Not top 5, not an MVP candidate. He is playing solid football, doesn't take sacks, pretty high completion percentage guy, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So not just Nix, Reggie, but looking at the team as a whole, the coaching staff, all of that. Are there any parallels that you can find with the Vikings taking a Broncos-like step next year and being among the top teams with a young quarterback who admittedly isn't lighting the world on fire, but they're winning games with him?
Yeah, I think McCarthy maybe provides a little bit more excitement than Bo Nix does. Bo Nix is steady, but nothing that I've seen from him just makes me go like, oh man, like this guy's their guy for the next 10 plus years. Like he's like a game manager at best. Sean Payton loves him apparently. I mean, he talks him up all the time. Like even from the time he drafted him, he felt like he got the best quarterback in the draft. He said that. Did he believe it? We don't know. But he's finding a way to do what he needs to do and get it done. I mean, the Chiefs are out of it, and they're looking like they are going to be winning that division crown, and it's pretty impressive what they're doing. That being said, that defense is mean, dude. Like, it's so crazy seeing Vance Joseph be the head coach, and now he's the defensive coordinator. But he's coordinating a great defense, but he's got some guys. Like, I think if we're going to draw some parallels, like, is there some type of way that the Vikings can get Pat Surtain? Like, is there some type of way, like, because you think about the pass rush, they paid Nick Bonito. He's really good. I think the Vikings kind of have that going as far as the pass rush. The linebackers, they're steady. The back end is what you always worry about. Like, is Harry going to play again next year? Is he going to be done? Who are they going to replace him with if he is done? And Flo has been doing such a great job. This defense has played good enough to win for the past, 6 weeks or so. And he's done it with, 3 corners. Like, I saw, Fabian Moreau played this past week in Dallas, and you got Jay Ward out there taking starter reps away from Isaiah Rodgers because of the tackling. But really, you're going out there with Byron. You're like a bad spades hand. It's like you're 2 in a possible. Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, and a possible somebody else. Jay Ward, Fabian Moreau, somebody else. Like, I think if they were able to get a true lockdown corner to pair with Murphy to really kind of take this defense over the top, get the ball hawking safety. Like, you have some good elements. Metellus is all over the field. You got good pass rush. I think you probably need to shore up the interior. I think, Redmond is good. You're going to have to pay him. Hargrave is solid, but I think that's the part that you think of, because the offense should have enough to get you where you want to go. If you can stop turning the ball over, not winning the turnover margin is going to be the part for this whole equation to work like the Broncos. Not turn the ball over, but if you can get that defense shored up on the back end where maybe you're able to win a game 13-10 or something like that. That probably would make Kevin O'Connell's skin crawl. But if you're able to withstand some of these growing pains of a young quarterback, I can see it. Because the margin of error has been this slim this year. And if they make even a few more plays and a few more games, they win. And now you're talking about a team in the hunt. So I can totally see them shoring up some things and having some type of run like the Broncos next year.
Yeah, Sean Payton, he's the OG QB whisperer. He even made late career Russell Wilson look respectable. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions his last year in Denver. That is not
hated him every
bad.
Single game. Hated him every step of the way.
He looked horrible, and he still came away with stats that were respectable. But Ron, we're going to talk about the pass rush on the Vikings a little bit. We like the Vikings pass rush. It's a good pass rush. They're 11th in sacks this year. The Broncos have 23 more sacks than the Minnesota Vikings do this year. That defense is the biggest tool for Bo Nix, because nasty secondary, nasty pass rush. It's just all aligned. This is what the Vikings wanted. They envisioned this around J.J. McCarthy. The Broncos are actually doing it.
Yeah, and so I go to third down. That's your point, right? Getting off the field on third down. The Broncos 25 sacks to the Vikings 16 on third down. Now here's the similarities, though, right? The Broncos third down and to go are averaging almost 8 yards. They're averaging third and long. The Vikings are right there, though. They're at 3rd and 7. The Broncos are allowing 4 yards per play on third down. The Vikings 4.1. They're the same. The difference is conversion rate. The Broncos are at 33. Vikings are at 36, almost 37. So if they can change that a little bit, right? But if they can change that a little bit, which is the third down conversion rate, that's going to help J.J. McCarthy. That's the defensive side of it. But when you talk about offense, here's where it gets tricky, right? On third down for the Broncos, they are a pass-happy team just like the Minnesota Vikings. But when you look at air yards, you look at time to throw, you look at yards gained, on third down, the Vikings are averaging 3.6 yards right now. That's bad. And their to go is 7 yards. So meaning they're not converting. They're one of the worst conversion teams, whereas the Broncos, 6 yards on third down, 42% conversion rate. So can the Vikings get there? I think so. My answer is I'm 75% sure they can. But here's what has to happen in this offseason. Kevin O'Connell has to change his stripes, right? It's tough for a Tiger to change his stripes, but he has to. He has to make third down throws, third down plays as simple as they've been the last couple of weeks, right? That might hurt him. That might make him feel like, man, this is not my offense, but it is your offense. Your job is to take, that's like having a puzzle and you want it to look one way, so you start shoving pieces where they don't belong. That's not how you finish a puzzle. You finish a puzzle by putting the pieces where they go. And that's what a really good coach does. They take the pieces they have and they make a puzzle, right? If I have ground turkey and peppers and chips, I can't say I want to make a hamburger, right? I have to make some type of like pepper turkey dip with the chips, right? I got to do that. Like, you have to be a chef and take your ingredients and make what it calls for. You can't try to make a freaking cheesecake with ground turkey. And I think that's where Kevin O'Connell's at right now. He wants filet mignon. You know, he wants lobster tail. He wants all that stuff. And I'm getting ready for Christmas, so I'm just envisioning going over to Costco and checking out the seafood section. But that's where Kevin O'Connell's at. He has to be able to take what he has, and to you guys' point, you said it. Sean Payton takes what he has, and then he runs what he knows he can run with that group. Like, Bo Nix is not asked to do a ton. He's just asked to read quick and then get rid of the ball to the right person. That's where I think they want J.J. McCarthy to get. But the problem is you started out with these 7-step drop plays, and that doesn't work right now for this team. One, because of maybe the person you're trying to go to, which is Justin Jefferson. Teams are bracketing him. So now your quarterbacks were thinking, I got to go to Jefferson. That's not where you go. Like, again, I go way back to the Bears game. If he throws the corner route to Jalen Naylor, it's a touchdown. But he tried to throw the out route to Justin Jefferson. It wasn't there. And I think that's the problem, is like early on, it was Justin Jefferson. I haven't had him all training camp. I got to use him. No, read the play. That was man coverage. Take the corner route, because even if you miss, you kick a field goal. He played it totally wrong, and it was a pick six by Nashawn Wright, which Nashawn Wright might be in the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah, who would have thought the Vikings had Nashawn Wright in the building, and who did they trade for him? Help me out. They traded a draft pick for Nashawn Wright. Andrew Booth Jr. And Nashawn Wright could have been a corner on this team.
I don't even think Booth is in the league right now.
He was with the Cowboys, but maybe
a practice squad somewhere, but not. Yeah, he's not contributing. Anywho, Vikings pass rush. We just alluded to it. We're going to dive in a little deeper, give you a letter grade on the edge position this year, which just suffered another significant injury. Quick pause. Injury is a very big story on the Minnesota Vikings this year, and their season is now bookended by edge rushing injuries. Van Ginkel was slowed in the first part of the season. Now Jonathan Grenard is out with shoulder surgery for the final 3 games, which he really battled through in that Cowboys game. He also had an ankle injury. So here's the tale of the tape on Grenard's season. Just couldn't wrap up the quarterback, really. The sack numbers don't reflect the pressure numbers. 3 sacks on the year for Jonathan Grenard. I can look up his pressure numbers here in a second, and probably if I talk long enough, I can get them to you in the next 10 seconds if the internet loads a little bit faster. But he was very effective. No knocks on the Jonathan Grenard season. But as a whole, did the Vikings pressure the quarterback? Was the pass rush as fierce or ferocious as you wanted, with Grenard doing what he did? Van Ginkel on and off the field ended with 4.5 sacks and a pick. And then Dallas Turner, he's the wild card. He is your co-leader in sacks with 5.5, tied with Eric Wilson. And you didn't really get a fourth edge in there, unless you count Eric Wilson rushing the passer. He's kind of a hybrid, rushing up the middle. But you didn't have a Jihad Ward like you did last year. You didn't have a lot of rotational help beyond Dallas Turner. So Ron, where are you at with this edge rushing group this year?
You see Myles Garrett out there about to break the record. I can't wait for that. Only because I'm just kind of sick of Mark Gastineau getting mad at Strahan and Brett Favre, so then we can move on from that. I
Yes,
kind of
please.
joked because, like, I don't know if you saw it when I think the quarterback fell and Myles Garrett did touch him. And I was like, ooh, are they going to give him that sack? And they didn't because they said it was a fumble and it wasn't a sack, which I'm like, that's BS, but whatever. So he's still stuck at what, 21 and a half, I think. So one more ties it and then one more breaks it and he has 3 games to do it. I was like, if they give him that sack for him falling down, I was like, Mark Gastineau might come chase down. I don't forget who the quarterback was that day. It wasn't Shador because he's on the Browns. It was whoever they were playing. I'm drawing a blank. But I'm like, he's gonna be mad at Myles Garrett if this happens because he's like, there's another guy taking my sacks off falling down quarterbacks. But anyway, so when you see Myles Garrett, right, you see what he's doing as an individual, and then you see this group. I think he has more sacks than those 3 combined, right? Am I wrong there?
You're right, and it's not even close. I think that group has about 13 combined, the Vikings trio, and Garrett has 20.
21 and a half, I think, is where he's at right now.
Yeah,
so
not
that's,
even close.
yeah. So when you think about Grenard, should be a 12, 13 sack guy. Gink should be a 8, 9, 10 sack guy. Dallas Turner, I think, is where he's at as a young guy. A little disappointing this year, but injury are part of it, right? We know Grenard could not really use that other arm. He was doing everything he can for the team. They wrapped him up in that harness, and I think he was at about 50% because you can change the amount of rotation or range you get. So you can make it 25, you can make it 10, you can make it, you can restrict it as much as you want. I think he was at like a 50% restriction, which means the minute he yanks and it pulls, it's whatever it is. If it's a rotator cuff, it's back out. Like it's done. And so that's what happened. So a little bit of it is injury. Gink was it concussions. So yeah, injury is part of this. But that is still disappointing though when you think about those 3 guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to have a sack leader at 5.5 with this group, Reggie. And by the way, Grenard
was he like 48th on the top 100 too this year or something like that?
Yeah. His pass rush productivity grade considered to be top 15 on PFF if you want to try to spin it positively. But I think we expected a little more. A little more, Reggie, this year. How about you?
Yeah, and it's tough because if you count some of the missed sacks that he had, some of the whiffs, like he probably has like 4 or 5 more sacks this year, and makes it look a little bit more respectable. I know this is not up to his standards by any means, and there's probably some disappointment there. But I think one thing about Grenard, the play that stood out, and it's kind of been talked about a lot, but just watching it live at the stadium was something to see. He whiffs on Prescott, can't bring him down, but hops right back up immediately.
That was cool.
And rams into I think it was Hargrave with Prescott and
Yep.
gets the half sack, salvages the rep and gets a half sack. Which was good. Then he got another half sack with Van Ginkel a little bit later before he left with the injury. And so, the guy's motor is where it needs to be. Like, this is a guy that gives you everything that he has going out there. And so it's tough. I will say some of the injury things really kind of opened the door for Dallas Turner to flash a little bit, which is a great development, especially, ending the season going into next year. Your first round pick, you want to see him flash. And so I think they have a good situation going. They did leave a little meat on the bone this year. You thought that maybe they get a little bit more. There were games where the quarterbacks would just, drop back and have all day to throw. And you're like, man, what happened? And, if Flo wasn't bringing the blitz, and if the blitz didn't get there, bad things were happening in terms of what was happening with the defense. And so you look at some of those things and you think, man, like, you would think the rush will get there a little bit more, and you didn't see a lot of that. Like, you didn't get a lot of the pressure from Jonathan Allen and Hargrave, like that you were expecting as well. You saw Allen whiff on some sacks this year too. So that's tough, but I think moving forward, you expect the rush to be much better. Like, I was a little concerned earlier this year with Van Ginkel. He had the concussion, but then, Kevin O'Connell was talking about like a neck thing, that was hampering him. You're just like, like, what does that mean? But he was able to come back and still do gink things. So I think you feel good about the rush. Just an odd year all around for the team with the pass rush. Justin Jefferson dropping passes, not getting the volume or the targets that you would expect. Him not being able to get in the end zone much, possibly missing 1,000 yards this year, which is just unfathomable. Like, you add the rush to that situation and all of those situations, and it just made for a bizarre year.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Eric Wilson to be your leading sack getter this year, just because it would be hilarious and unexpected, and good for Eric Wilson as well. Let's get a bold prediction in before we say sayonara. Vikings, Giants, Sunday. Ron, what do you think?
Okay. I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is not bold, but it's kind of bold. Justin Jefferson, 100-yard game. It's coming. It's coming. Here we go.
Force feed him.
Force feed
every
him
target.
Force feed
every
him the
target. Yep. I think they definitely will get into force feed mode to get him the 1,000. And I think that KOC said that to the Sunday Night Football crew, that was one of his objectives, was to get him 1,000. So they're gonna try.
This is the
hard.
defense to do it against. That's the point. Like, when you watch Stephon Diggs, and that's the only reason I say that, when I watch the New England game, go back and watch the New England game. Some of the stuff they were doing with Stephon Diggs, it looked like to keep him happy. Like, there were a couple wide open guys, and what's his name? I keep wanting to say Mac Jones, but Drake May is like waiting for Stephon Diggs to get open, and then he throws it to him. And it's like, you could have just thrown, like, there was a wide open guy on the sideline. Just throw that. But it's like, he probably's like, look, we got to get Diggs the ball, keep him happy. Like, we know we're going to beat the Giants. Let's keep Diggsy happy. So, yeah, like, I feel like this might be one of those, and the way to do it is you put Justin Jefferson, like, watch the Diggs. You put Justin Jefferson in the Diggs role, which is in the slot. You don't allow if they're going to double, they're going to really show their hand. And now you're going to have Naylor and Addison wide open on the cover 4 look, because the safeties are helping. But you can't put Justin Jefferson out wide, because now the safety can help over the top. But if you put them in the slot, they're gonna have to show their hand, and that's what happened with with New England. They just put Diggs in the slot a bunch, and they were able to make the Giants show their hand. And Tyler Newman, honestly, that's my guy, but he creeps down way too soon. He's giving it away, and so that's why too. If you see Tyler Newman 1-on-1 with Justin Jefferson, I hate to say it, you got to take that.
Reggie, got some boldness?
Yeah, I'm going Justin Jefferson as well, but I'm going Justin Jefferson 2 touchdown game. The last time they played,
I thought it was 200 yards. Man,
no. The last time they played, the Giants was last year. Darnold hit him for that touchdown. He did the Kehlani, which was cool. He'll get a chance to gritty. I feel bad for him. He thought he had that touchdown, and he was getting started on that gritty, and he was like, "Oh no. This is going to get called back, isn't it?" I just feel for the guy.
That's why you don't motion running backs out wide without practicing it a bunch. Jordan Mason had no idea what he was supposed to do out there.
Exactly. They didn't make that point on the broadcast, but yeah, your number 2 running back lining up wide, of course that's going to be confusing.
Yeah. And he even pointed to the ref, and it's like, oh, what are you doing? He's been waiting for that moment. He's been waiting to do that.
Thumbs up.
We're good? No? Yeah.
And the ref was like, the ref looked at him like, yeah, you're good, but all right, whatever. Yep, fine. He couldn't wait to throw that flag. He was holding on to it like quick draw. Like, if you snap this ball and the both of y'all release, I'm throwing it. If you watch it back, that thing comes shooting in there. It was just like, he was like, wait, did you just cover him? Well, yep, you're covered. And here's the thing that I learned, because I talked to another coach about this one. If players don't point, even if they cover up the tight end, they don't get considered on the line, because the refs will say you get like a half an inch of margin. So they'll just say, look, he didn't point at me, so he's not supposed to be on the line. So they would have let it go. It's the point that got him like the flag, because it pointed out that I think I'm supposed to be on the line of scrimmage. And they're like, well, there's already a tight end on the line of scrimmage. So, yep. So if he didn't point, they probably would have let that touchdown go, which is another, like, my goodness.
Nothing going right for Jefferson this year. I've got Turner, Dallas Turner, on a 2.5 sack game. Going to get a big role.
Ooh.
Probably going to play 60 snaps. Dallas Turner, another breakthrough. We're going to really love Dallas Turner by the end of the year. That's all we got today on the Squad Show. Back tomorrow with Arif, Luke, and Ron making his Thursday appearance. That's Reggie Wilson. Check him out on Care 11. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Appreciate you watching, listening, commenting on the Squad Show right here on Locked On Vikings.